We are live.
All right, so welcome everyone to October 26, 2021 City Council meeting. In the interest of the government transparency with regards to deliberations and decisions made by the City Council in accordance to open meeting law, since this meeting was being posted as a Zoom meeting, this meeting is recorded by video and audio and will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the City Council during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. And if you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Use this during the oral communications in the public hearing. So this evening, I'll announce the councilors first. I'm going to start from my upper left-hand corner. We have myself, Councilor LeBlanc. We have Councilor Pett, Councilor Gilman, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Holmgren, Councilor Memhard, Councilor Cox, Councilor O'Hara, and Councilor Nolan. So we have a full city council. We also have an attendance this evening is if everybody can mute themselves. That's not muted. Also in this evening, we have our city clerk, Joanne Sinos. We have our CFO, John Dunn. We have our fire chief, Eric Smith. And we have our city auditor, Kenny Costa. And let me check the attendees real quick. Okay, I think we're good to go. Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
The first order of business is oral communications.
All right, so during the oral communications, the public shall have the opportunity at every regularly scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communications shall allow any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, state their problem without debate, and the matter shall be referred to the proper agency through the office of the mayor. The resident will be notified within 2 weeks prior relative to disposition of same, and a copy shall be forwarded to the city council. Persons speaking under oral communications shall be limited to 3 minutes each, and the council president shall not allow complaints as to individual performance. Is there anybody that would like to speak under oral communications? If you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. And if you are watching on a device, computer, your phone, there is a raise hand button that you can tap to request to speak. Now is the time for oral communications. All right, oral communications once. There we go. We have one person.
Wait, Madam, Mr. Council President,
Yes,
I think Bill Colby wants to speak.
I have him right here.
No, hold on. I think he wants to speak for the Squamrock Road betterment, and he's raising his hand now in public
Okay.
comments.
All right, well, let's figure out what he wants to do. Maybe he wants to speak under oral communications. William, can you hear me? You're muted right now. Mr. Colby. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So this is the oral communications part. This isn't for Squamrock Road, if you're here for that.
I am.
All right, there'll be another part of that later on to speak.
All right, I'll wait for that then.
All right, no problem.
And
Hold on, Val. All right, does anybody else would like to speak during oral communications? All right, seeing none. Councilor Gilman?
I know Kevin Thompson wanted to speak in public comments, and he's on the call.
All right, well, I don't know if he wants to speak unless he raises his hand. Kevin, if you're there, there is a raise hand button to request to speak.
He's on.
I just brought him in. Kevin, can you hear me? You're on mute, Kevin, if you can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I lost connectivity due to a power outage on my laptop, and now I'm trying to work off my phone, and I can't see all the icons I can normally see on Zoom. So I'm glad you can hear me. I submitted 2 files today to the city clerk about flooding issues on Poplar Street. Did you receive them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I had an event on September 30th, which flooded my yard at a rate higher than normal, at about an inch per half hour on a sunny day with no rain prior. Which was alarming. And you can see in my letter the chronology of my calls and what I did while I was making the calls. And I did canvass the neighborhood, the 20 abutters to Mill River, in order to get their feelings and support for finding out what's wrong and how to fix it. Since then, I did talk to Bill at the Water and Sewer Department. I have talked to Mark Cole. Val has been very helpful. But the residents and I have the following questions, which is the second file labeled flooding issues on Poplar Street. Well, I'm not sure how I sent the file, but what we're worried about is, what are the procedures for releasing water from the Babson Reservoir to the Mill River? Is anybody paying attention to the level of the river prior to releasing water? And is anybody thinking about, like tonight's event, this week's event, where we may get up to 6 inches of rain? Have they prepared to make sure that residents aren't going to get flooded from an event like this? That's the first point. The second is, how will the city protect residents abutting the river from flooding? So I guess that's part of the first point. The third point is, who should I call if there's a flooding issue after hours? Because right now, the only person I can call is the police. And depending on who's manning the phone, sometimes they know who to call, sometimes they don't. Lastly, what can I expect for maintenance of the river to allow water to flow unimpeded? As of now, not this event, but a prior event. And typically I get about 4 events a year where my yard floods, which, by the way, I don't think it should ever flood with the that we have to send water from this reservoir to that one here. But there's so much detritus and overgrowth in the river from years of neglect that, I mean, there's a willow tree behind number 6 Poplar Park, and I think 60 Poplar Street. There's a large willow tree that's laying in the stream. There are several impingements from the reservoir itself to Whitehead Motors, the culvert just before Whitehead Motors. The stream gets wider, it gets narrower, and a lot of that is because invasive species have overtaken the embankments and have grown into the stream, making it smaller here, larger there. And I just don't think that scientifically, for the improvements that have been made on the culverts and on the spillway on Babson Reservoir, I just feel like the river itself is not maintained to allow for proper flow to Mill Pond and eventually the ocean. I'll stop there.
All right, Bill. I'm sorry, Kevin. We appreciate your concerns. There is, I'm not sure of the person to call, but there is an app. It's called See Click Fix, and it is on the city website also, and they're pretty responsive. But we will try to get you some information on the best person to give you a call after hours.
Thank you. Please look at my chronology and who I tried to call and what responses I got.
All right. All right, Kevin.
If I have any more time, I'd like to add one more thing.
We usually allow 3 minutes. You're up to about 4.5 right now.
Okay, I'll yield.
All right. Thank you, pal. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else that would like to speak under oral communications? All right. Seeing none. And Council Gilman?
I see Patty Amaral just raised her hand.
right, Patty, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Name and address for the record, please.
Patty Amaral, 14 Meadow Square.
Go ahead.
I wasn't gonna speak, but listen to that man about Poplar Street. I lived right there at 42 Riverdale Park, so I know exactly about that area. Geez, your same thing's gonna happen when this school is built. You're taking all this grass and this area and you're hot topping it. And that water is gonna have to find someplace to go. And when I picture it myself, when I think about where that water is going, it's going to our salt marshes. It's going to all those people who live there. I don't think that we're thinking about these things in large pictures. And I think that it's going to end up, real bad for those people and for our beaches also, because it's going to go right down to our beaches and wipe them out too. We'll see what happens after the storm tonight. And we can look at that area where you're building the new school and, we just got to think better. We think smarter here. And I'm sorry for this man dealing with that. I know exactly that area. So let's just try to think smarter when we're doing these developments and what's it's going to do. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Patty. All right, anybody else under oral communications? All right, seeing none. Joanne, before we proceed, I just want to brush everybody up on the our rules of procedure for this evening. Some of us lost power before the meeting. If I lose power, that means Val will take over as council vice president. If I, myself, and Val lose power, Councilor Cox is the longest sitting counselor, so she will take over the meeting. If we lose a quorum, we're gonna have to reschedule the meeting. And if we lose power during the, or any other time during the public hearings, we'll have to continue the meeting another night. I'm not sure when the night will be, but we have, what, 48 hours, Joanne, to post the meeting and redo it? Okay,
Yes.
so we'll have to try to accommodate. I just wanted everybody to know, we did lose power once. Who knows? We're gonna try to get through this meeting as efficiently as possible. So with that being said, Madam Clerk, can I have the next order of business, please?
The next order of business is the consent agenda.
All right, are there any councilors that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Council Gilman? And then we lost Val. All right, so we did, Val has frozen. So I would like to remove under applications, petitions from the consent agenda to waive notice to abutters. All right, nope, Val, you back? There we go. All right, you're on mute.
Are we at the consent agenda now that I'm back?
We are, and I removed it, but if you'd like to touch on it, you may.
Okay. Yes, I had two matters. The first was the application petitions for RZ 2021-003 in accordance with GZO section 1.11.2A, amend GZO section 2.3.1 residential uses, 3.2 dimensional table, 3.22 dimensional requirements for multifamily dwellings and their accessory units other than signs, and 3.1.6B building heights in excess of 35 feet. I would like to remove that and waive the notice. Or first of all, I'll just remove it, and then you can proceed how you want me to.
All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to remove anything from the consent agenda? All right, so what Councilor Gilman has done is what she stated. So sending a notice to the abutters for this matter is impractical and it's not feasible, and I'll pass it back over to Councilor Gilman.
Yeah, so we're just asking to waive the notice to the abutters and set the date for the public hearing. And I guess I so move.
All right,
Second.
all right, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All right,
I think Joanne needs to set the date for the public hearing, and the only thing I'd like to say before she does that is that this is relevant to all of us because this is a zoning change. And we'll have to decide at that date if we want to continue this to the new council when we open that public hearing, if that's in fact what we want to do. So
Joanne, do we have a date for that?
December 14th. But on your template, there's the motion on which section you have to announce that you're waiving the notice to abutters and to set the matter for December 14th.
Val, do you have the motion in front of you?
I thought I said to remove the application petitions from the consent agenda to waive notice to the abutters and set the date for the public hearing. And I so move. I thought I said that.
Yeah. There's a section that you have to reference.
Section.
The
1
GZO section 1.11.4B.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, you want to move it, Councilor Cox, since you're,
Do you want to do that as amendment then, or move the,
why don't we read the motion in its entirety to make it clean?
okay. Val, if you want, I've got it readily available. I can read it.
Yeah, I'm for some reason, I'm not finding it. I just
Okay.
kind of regrouping after my power outage. So thank you, Council Cox.
All right, so I'm just going to move it then. I move to waive the notice to abutters under GZO section 1.11.4B that the council is asked to amend the zoning ordinance accordingly to set the public hearing for the matter as December 14th, 2021, and to refer the matter to the Planning and Development Standing Committee and the Planning Board. And I so move.
Second,
All right, motion's been moved by Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor Gilman. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I will offer the roll call and Councilor Peck,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman,
yes,
Councilor Holmgren,
yes,
Councilor LeBlanc, yes, Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
and Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, thank you. So that's the consent agenda. Val,
I have another one I have to remove. I'm sorry, Counselor.
go ahead.
So I request that we remove the P and D minutes of October 20th, 2021.
All right, anybody else? All right, do you have a narrative for this, Val?
Yes, on page 8 of 8, under our vote, I would like to remove which are attached and add insert which are on file, and I so move.
Second.
second,
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Gilman, seconded by Councilor Cox and Councilor Holmgren. Thank you. So basically pretty straightforward. All right,
The
so,
proper language, so
Yep.
thank you.
and I will call for the roll. Councilor Peck,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman,
Yes,
Councilor Holmgren,
yes,
Councilor LeBlanc, yes, Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
and Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Anything else from the consent agenda? All right, so I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended.
So move.
second,
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Memhard, seconded by Councilor Cox and Gilman. So we'll do the roll call. Councilor Peck,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman,
yes,
Councilor Holmgren,
yes,
Councilor LeBlanc, yes, Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
and Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Motion to accept the consent agenda as amended passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Next order of business is the Budget and Finance Standing Committee report of October 21st.
All right, I will hand it over to our Budget and Finance Chair, Councilor Cox.
Hi, before we do that, I just have a question. Typically our participants on the Zoom calls, I recognize their name But there's one on as a participant that I don't recognize, and because there is so much fraud and craziness in the world, I would just like a clarification on who Harley Racer is and why they are active as a participant.
Hello.
That's the applicant for 65 to 73 Essex Avenue. That's the head representative for that application.
Thank you, Council President Pett.
It is my true legal names, not fraud. So
Okay, nope, that was the only one I didn't recognize and I was curious. All right.
Nice to meet you.
So, consent agenda. I present a consent agenda to you all. If you have any questions or you want to remove anything, please do so now or forever hold your peace. Seeing none, I move the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, consent agenda has been moved by Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor Memhard. Any narrative, Councilor Cox? Discussion?
Just bringing in some more grants and most of them are reoccurring, so no heavy lifting there.
Great, thank you very much. All right, so I will call for the roll call. Councilor Pett,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor Holmgren,
yes,
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
and Councilor Pett. I'm sorry, Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Motion passes to accept the unanimous consent agenda for budget and finance on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, thank you, Councilor Cox. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
There wasn't a meeting on October 18th for the ordinance and administration, so the next item would be the Plan Development Standing Committee report of October 20th.
All right, Councilor Gilman.
I have no items under this heading. However, I just wanted to announce to any members of the public that we're planning to attend tomorrow's October 27th site visit at 9 Whistle Stop Way, that we've rescheduled that to Thursday, the 28th, and we will have 2 sessions, one at 4:30 and one at 5. And we ask anyone who wants to sign up to call me at 978-621-4682. I've already had a couple of abutters call me and I've explained to them that change. And thanks to Sherry, we put a sign on the door today about that change in case anybody shows up tomorrow. They'll know that it was rescheduled to the following day. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor Gilman. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Next order of business is the first scheduled public hearing. Public hearing 2021-029, loan order 2021-005, loan authorization request in the amount of $260,000 for the Squam Rock Lane and Squam Rock Road paving betterment.
All right, so I will open the public hearing and ask if there is anybody that is here to speak in favor or in opposition. We usually allow for public hearings. I'll just go through some procedural parts of it. We asked the proponent they have up to 15 minutes to speak. The opponent they have the same, and then we'll go back and forth 3 minutes, and then we'll have a rebuttal. So that is for all public hearings for this evening. Is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of this loan order? I see we have John Dunn on the call. Let's head it over to the public. Elizabeth, can you hear me? Nope.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you pause for 1 brief minute, please?
Mhm.
All right, thank you. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And, I certainly support this order, in the same way as we've done other private way pavings in the past. So, as long as the abutters want to have to do this, then, it's a good project to do.
Thank you, John. All right, Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can. Name and address for the record, please.
Elizabeth Bornhoft, 5 Squam Rock Lane.
Go ahead.
I'm just calling in support of this. Clearly, I've been having a lot of trouble getting up our road, the hill, for many, many years. So as the duly, although somewhat reluctant, duly appointed president of the Squam Rock Road Association, I just want to report that we have had excellent participation and toward this betterment. It was unanimous with the road abutters, despite some little glitches in the whole procedure, which Val and Mike Hale walked us through. So we just want to record how we appreciate the city's efforts to help those of us who are responsible for resurfacing our roads as private roads. I don't know if any of you have been up there, but it's been a while since before COVID that we've been working on this. We started investigating, and we're excited that it looks like it's going to go through. So I want to publicly thank Mike Hale for starting us on the process, but especially thanks to Val Gilman, because her guidance and her really excellent communication skills have been invaluable. So thank
All
you.
right, Elizabeth, thank you very much for speaking this evening. All right, next we have William. William, can you hear me?
I can.
There we go. Name and address for the record, please.
William Colby, 7 Squam Rock Road.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
So our road has 17 abutters to pay for this really badly needed repair and resurfacing. So without the city's help, we would not have really have the expertise to hire a contractor to do a job that required this kind of expertise. The other thing is that we would not be able to finance it without the city's help. The 10-year payback schedule really allows us to be able to do it and do it correctly. Just filling potholes and stuff just isn't going to work anymore. Our road is over 100 years old. It was originally a cow path, has stone walls and rock ledge, and it's a difficult project to do. So it's expensive, and to do it correctly, we think is really important. The city's help in this has just been incredible for us. We would not be able to do this properly without the city's help in this. And we do thank you for your consideration for this betterment project. That's it.
So Councillor Gilman, Councillor LeBlanc has lost power. So he is trying to log in again.
Okay. So I will turn this over. Of seeing, are there anyone on, is there anyone on the call that would like to vote in or would like to speak against this? Okay, any communications, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Any questions, councilors, to John Dunn? Okay, I'd like to turn this over to Councillor Cox, who will do the committee report from Budget and Finance.
Councillor Cox has lost power. She's not with us. So go
So
to,
can we make sure that we have a quorum right now? Okay, Councillor LeBlanc is back. So
All right.
we
have a quorum, and we're at the point of Councillor Cox making the committee report out of BNF. Would you like me to do that on behalf of Councillor Cox?
Do we have Councilor Memhard here still?
yes.
All right, Scott should take over the reading of the motion. Council Memhard, you want to take that over?
I can, just give me a minute to bring it up on my phone so I can have it in front of me.
Yes, sir.
Unless somebody else has it on front of them.
Yeah. John, do you have it in front of you? All right. All right, I'll take over for this. That way, we don't have any pecking order problems. On a motion
Thank
by
you.
Council Memhard, seconded by Council McCarthy, the Budget and Finance Committee voted on a roll call of 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the City Council approve the following loan authorization as follows. Ordered that the City of Gloucester appropriates $260,000 to pay costs of permanent repairs, including paving to Squam Rock Lane and Squam Rock Road, private ways in the city, including costs incidental to related thereto. To meet the appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7, subsection 5, or pursuant to any other enabling authority. Although any borrowing by the city to meet this appropriation shall constitute general obligation of the city and pledge of its full faith and credit, 100% of the amount needed to repay any borrowing pursuant to this order shall be raised in the first instance through the assessment of betterments upon the abutters of the private way. In accordance to Mass General Law, Chapter 80, and any other applicable authority, the mayor and any other appropriate official of the city are authorized to take any and all actions necessary to assess the betterment described above. The term which of this will not exceed 10 years, such short a time as prescribed by the Massachusetts General Law. Any premium received by this city upon the sale of any bonds and notes approved by this vote, less any such premium applied to the payment of the cost of the issuance of such bonds or note, may be applied to the payment and cost of approval of this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the General Law, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed or paid for, pay such costs by like amount. And further ordered that the treasurer is authorized to file an application with the Municipal Finance Oversight Board to qualify under Chapter 44, the General Law, Chapter 44A of the General Laws, and any of or all of the bonds authorized by this order to provide such information and execute with such documents as the Municipal Finance Oversight Board may require for these purposes, and I so move.
Second, thank you.
All right, it's been, motion's been made by myself, seconded by Councilor Memhard. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, obviously this, Councilor Gilman.
Thank you. So Squam Rock Road is a perfect example of the perfect betterment type of road because it is a lone road that the abutters are the ones that access it. And this has been a tremendously positive initiative. The team of 4 that led this, they were totally on top of their game and really worked diligently to do everything right. And really a shout out to a few people, but Mike Hale was super and Grace Poirier was amazing. I just wanted, and also John Dunn was extraordinarily helpful with tedious and tough questions. So, you know, I obviously will be supporting this. I'm the ward counselor and it really, it's been a long road. It's been a couple years because of COVID, but we are really excited to see this go through tonight. So obviously I will be supporting this. Thank you, counselors.
All right, I just got my power back on, but it's gonna take a few minutes for me my internet to load up. And I can't see everybody, so if anybody has any other discussion on this, just let me know.
Councilor Nolan has his hand raised.
Councilor Nolan?
The Squam Rock Road is a great example of all the other work that's gone through the city to get these betterments done. It's tedious. It's great to have good council representation, such as Val, on these situations. Scott and myself have been through this a few times, and Councilor Hara working with them. It's a work that keeps working, and it gets better each time with little questions, but the law is the law. And every road that's been done is better for it. And it makes more of a community when there's nothing to gripe about the road. And I understand there's expense, but Val, thank you for going through this with Swan Walk Road. They're gonna be excited when they see the work the city does for them. And I will be supporting this.
Right, is there anybody else that would like to speak before we have the vote?
Counselor Memard has his hand raised, Counselor, until you get your power.
Council Memard?
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on Councilor Nolan's comments because we are just wrapping up finally. It's 99.9% complete. A very extensive betterment paving project on the Briar Neck area that included 8 roadways. And Mike Hale, our DPW director, worked very closely with me, and we got some coverage while I was in the hospital from other counselors, Councilor O'Hara and Councilor McCarthy, and the project is just winding up now, and we were able to provide infrastructure improvements as part of the project before we did the paving project. And the residents' only complaint at this point is that now everybody drives faster. So there we are, but thank you all for making this process work.
All right, anybody else? Let's see. I don't see anybody else has their hand up. All right,
Counselor
so,
LeBlanc,
yes,
I'm back, but I'm on my phone.
I'm on, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on my phone too. Okay, so,
Those motions, so thank you.
yeah, we read the motion, so I typically, you missed the motion part of this, Counselor, so I'm not sure.
I was here. I was
Oh,
I was on as an attendee. I
All
could
right,
hear you
all right.
reading it.
All right, good, thank you.
He did a
All right,
good job.
so yeah, we'll
I know
move
it.
forward.
Those are long.
We'll move forward with this then. Okay, without any other discussion, I will call for the roll call. Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Holmgren,
yes,
Counselor LeBlanc, yes, Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes,
Counselor Nolan,
Absolutely great work, Val.
and Counselor O'Hara.
Yes.
All right, motion passes to accept the loan order on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, Madam Clerk, may we have the next order of business, please?
Next order of business is the second public hearing 2021-026, to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Section 22-270, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 22-291, tollway zones regarding Prospect Street, and this was continued from the October 12th meeting.
correction, that's Prospect Square.
I'm
Prospect Square.
sorry, Prospect Square, yes.
All right, so Joanne, I'm gonna need a little help with this one because I'm on my phone and I'm not gonna be able to bring people in. So if you want to bring people in for me and announce them, I will get the, my internet's just loading up. So as soon as I get it, I'll be able to switch back over to my laptop and proceed. So I will open the public hearing and ask if there is anybody here that would like to speak in favor.
Yes. I would like to.
Hold on, Barry, this is,
Yeah.
we're gonna get the neighborhood first and
Yeah,
anybody else.
I'm sorry. I did not see any hands raised. I'm sorry.
All right, no, that's fine. Anybody here that like to speak in favor, opposition? All right. Anybody have their,
Oh, I see Salvatore Argentino with his hand raised, Counselor.
all right, you want to bring Sal in, Joanne, please? Sal, can you hear me? Hello, Sal. He may have lost power too. All right.
He's
Why don't-
on
why don't-
now.
Sal, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good evening. My name is
hold on.
Salvatore.
Yes, can we have
sorry,
your
go
name and
ahead.
address for the record, please?
My name is Salvatore Argentino. I live on 21 Prospect Square.
Go ahead.
So this ordinance is basically to remove parking from a street that's already lacking parking. And the minor adjustments that we did by moving up making one parking spot and no parking has alleviated all the issues on this street. And I speak for pretty much the entire neighborhood in saying that everything's pretty much fixed.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor or in opposition? All right. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
There are none.
All right, do we have any councilor questions? Barry, before we get to you, we're gonna get to the motion first, and then we'll get you to speak on this whole thing. All right. And if everybody just waits patiently for 1 second, actually, we can go forward with this, because my everything just came back on for me, so I got internet. So we'll hand it over. So if there's nobody, councilor questions, I'm gonna close the public hearing and ask Council Nolan for the committee report, please.
On a motion, but the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council amend GCO Chapter 22, Section 22-270, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 22-291, tollway zones regarding Prospect Square as follows. Do you want to waive the minutes, or do you want to go through it?
There's, you know what? Good question. Why don't we go through the whole thing? That way everybody knows what we're talking about, because there is a little bit of confusion.
All right, so to amend Section 22-270, parking prohibited at all times by deleting Prospect Square, the left side for entire length. Prospect Square, the left side for entire length. Prospect Square westerly side, right side, beginning at the point of 198 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street in a southerly direction for a distance of 20 feet. Prospect Square westerly side, right side, beginning at the point of 228 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street in a southerly direction for a distance of 20 feet and by. Adding Prospect Square, the left side in the direction of travel for its entire length. Prospect Square westerly side, right side, begin at the point of 190 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street in a southerly direction for a distance of 68 feet. Prospect Square, southerly side, right side, beginning at the point of 266 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street for a distance of 54 feet. Prospect Square, southerly side, right side, beginning at the point of 368 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street for a distance of 70 feet in an easterly direction. Prospect Square, easterly side, right side, beginning at a point of 462 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street for a distance of 40 feet. To amend Section 22-291 tollway zones by deleting Prospect Square westerly side, right side, beginning at a point 228 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street in a southerly direction for a distance of 20 feet. Prospect Square westerly side, right side, beginning at a point of 378 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street for a distance of 60 feet in an easterly direction. Prospect Square westerly side, right side, beginning at a point of 198 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street in a southerly direction for a distance of 20 feet, and by added Prospect Square, the left side in the direction of travel for its entire length. Prospect Square, southerly side, right side, beginning at the point of 368 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street for a distance of 70 feet in an easterly direction. Prospect Square, westerly side, right side, beginning at a point of 190 feet from its intersection with Prospect Street in a southerly direction for a distance of 68 feet, and I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Councilor Pat, you are the maker of this order. Would you like to speak on this, please?
Yes, this all came about based on safety concerns for fire apparatus being able to service all of Prospect Square, including the ladder trucks. And we had a number of meetings with the residents, actually 3 full meetings we had, and then there was a 4th that did not include it, that all of us weren't included on, but including the mayor, the fire chief, the police chief, DPW, and the traffic commission. And the fire department, the fire chief went with the city engineer and used a program to be able to figure out ways to get our ladder truck into number 1, to hopefully get into the rear of the Curtis Clark building, but just, and maybe even more importantly, to get all the way around Prospect Square. And they worked very hard at this, and they worked with the traffic commission to get exact distances, et cetera. And they've come up with a plan that has cut some of what was posted as parking or no parking zones were actually not according to the ordinances. And this proposed corrections basically takes away 1.5 more spots. I feel for some of the residents, in the sense that I'm down on Middle Street, and sometimes when you go away, you come back and you have to park 2 and 3 blocks away from your house. And I understand the problems with that, but this is all about safety. And that's why I put this order forward. And I know Chief Smith is on the call, and I think he's going to talk about safety, et cetera. And Bob Ryan from the Traffic Commission had planned on being here, but had a medical issue today and not able to be here. But I could pass on, I can show where he had texted me that he was in support of the work that Chief Smith had done. And so again, I'm in support of it. I'm sorry some of the residents are not happy that they may be losing an additional space, but I think it is what it is. Thank you.
All right, any other councilor questions? Councilor Gilman?
Move to another part of the house where I think my internet connection is stronger. So I have a question for Councilor Pett as the ward councilor. So were all of the residents able to have a neighborhood meeting where they discussed the pros and cons and are happy with the decision in terms of safety? We only have 1 person on the public hearing, and I was just interested.
Well, there were a number. That is 1 resident that was at the meetings. There were others that came in different meetings. And we received different phone calls, et cetera. And I'm not sure whether those who are in support or in opposition is based on whether it's public safety or just the convenience of parking. And I understand both things. My reasoning is purely for public safety. I know that Councilor Cox and Councilor McCarthy came to some meetings and also had some discussion with some of the residents, et cetera. And I think they may weigh in here with, other commentary. My commentary is that as I spoke to everyone, my feeling was strictly based on public safety and the access of our fire apparatus to this area.
Thank you.
Barry. Before we get Council, I see Council McCarthy and Council Cox. Has there anybody on the call, Brittany? So if we don't mind suspending our rules, maybe letting her speak if she's here for the public hearing. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
All right,
So
let's take a quick vote on it before we do it. Councilor Pat?
Yes.
All right, Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor Holmgren,
yes,
Councilor LeBlanc, yes, Council McCarthy,
Yes, and anybody else that wants to speak should raise their hand also, Steve. Maybe they didn't.
yes, that's perfect. I agree. If anybody else would like to speak, you can raise your hand now for the public hearing part. Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
and Councilor Pat.
No, Council, it's called Councilor O'Hara is what is the one.
Yes.
It started with me.
Out of my head, I don't have anything in front of me for this. Joanne, I'm not a co-host. Can you make me a co-host so I can bring her in, please? All right. Okay, Brittany, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. My apologies. I've never done this before, so I didn't know I had to
That's okay.
say I was here in the beginning.
Name and address for the record, please.
So I'm speaking for Suzanne Skinner at 20 Prospect Square.
Okay,
She's extremely hard of hearing, so.
all right. Well, can we have your name and address for the record, though, just to be legit here?
Brittany Witten, 20 Prospect Square.
Perfect. Thank you. Proceed.
So one of our concerns is, we understand that obviously safety is key, but in a true emergency, is the fire department really going to try to get around a loop as opposed to back down the one-way street in one direction on both sides?
Right.
Because, I mean, both of the corners are tight. It's a square, hence Prospect Square, but no ladder truck is going to be able to do a 90-degree turn, even if there's nobody on the square.
I bet you can challenge the chief and he'll tell you he can go down there at 50 miles an hour and make that corner. No problem with the
Yes,
ladder
I
truck.
suppose I shouldn't have said never, but no doubt in you, John, but
All right. Is there anything else, Brittany?
no, that's it.
All right. Thank you. We appreciate it.
They're gonna leave it the way it is.
All right. Anybody else that would like to speak to this real quick before we back to council questions? If you're calling in, there's *9 for request to speak, and there's a raise hand button to tap or press that to speak if you're on a laptop, your phone device, or anything else that you watch this on. All right, seeing
Also,
none.
Mr. President, if you'll see that Chief Conley is on as an attendee also. I don't know if he's going to want to speak, but if you could bring him in. I see Chief Smith's already on, but if you could bring Chief Conley in, I'd appreciate it.
I just did. All right, so we're back to councilor questions, and Councilor Cox had her hand up before you, John. So Councilor Cox.
Thank you for taking me. So when I met with some of the neighbors, they had expressed that they came to the ward counselor because of a traffic issue, not a public safety issue. There's conflicting information, but I don't believe it's 1.5 spots that is being eliminated. It's up to 8 spots that were being eliminated. So this is a huge impact on this street. So I'm curious if anybody can speak to the actuality of what the loss is. And I'm okay with asking a resident because the residents went through this with each of the meetings and with the traffic commission. So I know that Sal has a wealth of information regarding this and he's researched it. So I'm curious to get his take on the loss for the neighborhood.
Sal, you want to we'll want to speak on this real quick? How long you lived there in the neighborhood?
I've lived here since 1982.
Okay, so you're pretty much an expert on the neighborhood.
Correct. And that's why, the neighborhood came to me about this issue. So basically, parking has always been an issue on the street. And when about 20 years ago, the state came down and put up a barrier that was 3 feet away from the original one, which narrowed the street about 3 feet. So which made it an almost tight corner even tighter. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it made it hard to turn. So with this new ordinance, we are basically catering to the Armory, because it seems like every time they have an issue with our street, we lose parking spots. Now, if you look down at the bottom of the turn, they're talking about losing 3 more spots than the spot that we all gave up, which alleviated all the issue. And that lost us a spot on that side. And then they're talking about losing another 2 spots going up around the bend, and then possibly another one even up, further up. Now, originally this wasn't a safety concern because I called Barry when this first happened. The Armory, for some reason, people, I don't know if they're having issues driving or turning or what, but they would call the department for every little thing that they can make. So now that one spot's gone, it seems like no one has an issue, but it got blown way out of proportion. Like people were trying to move signs without having city council involved and city ordinances. And instead of just saying, hey, let's stop this and let's look at it, it just blew up to something that it should have never have been. The street was broken, but it's fixed. Like the issue's fixed. Like this street is small. I mean, it's 100 years old. It wasn't meant to have, the traffic that it has. And everybody treats this street basically, if you were a big apparatus or a fire truck, a dump truck, any cement truck, they treat the street like it's 2 dead-end streets. And everybody knows, and full-size UPS trucks, FedEx trucks, mail trucks, moving trucks. I used to drive a 40-foot box van, and I had no problem getting around the way it is. There's no issue. To me, for a what if, you're going to remove 8+ parking for something that could be a what if, when you have plenty of access on both sides. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Sal. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes, I was at one of the meetings, and there was a lot more than Sal and Brittany were there. There was a group of neighbors and a lot of people that were opposed to this. Chief Smith was there, and it was put to the chief, what do you do now if you, and he was mainly concerned with the entrance to the rear of the Armory apartments. And he said his engines could back down the street. I just hate taking parking away from a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of parking to begin with. Most of those houses are old and they're multi-family. And if you think about it, there isn't really a lot of places for them to go in the neighborhood. That part of Prospect Street, there isn't much parking on. So I'm very hesitant to take parking away from the neighborhood. But I will certainly like to hear from Chief Smith on his perception, whether this is an absolute that this be done or whether it's something that they can work around, because obviously public safety needs to come first. And I trust Chief Smith will give us a dissertation on what he thinks needs to be done.
Thank you, John. Hold on councilor questions real quick. We have the chief on. Let him speak, and then we'll get back to councilor questions while he's still on the call. Chief Smith, welcome.
Good evening. How are you, councilors?
Very good.
So regarding this issue, this was brought to me regarding this street and what requirements public safety would impose upon it if given the opportunity. The initial discussion when I was brought into it was related to the ordinance as it stands currently and the signage as it stands currently, and that there being a disconnect between the two and that they were inaccurate, incorrect, and need to be corrected and cleaned up. And as part of that process, I was asked to come in and give my opinions as to what I felt was appropriate in additional changes, if any, to make this more accessible for fire apparatus. So from my position, it's always, public safety purely in that regard. So in order for us to get the ladder truck around there, there is significant change and there is significant parking that it would be taken away. And I think it's at least 3, if not 4 spots compared to what was drawn up by the engineering department for me on a map that showed, the current no parking zone and what the new additions that language would provide in order to give us the turn radiuses that we need to get that beast down the streets. That being said, we also determined that there is no way to get the ladder truck into the back of the Armory property over there at the park. It's just not physically possible, at least not to do it in urgent conditions, such as a fire and a life safety rescue type of thing. That is not a tool that we're going to be able to use at the back of the property because we just can't get it in safely each and every instance in time. So that's really off the table. But both coming and going out of that street still need to be accessible for rescues and other vehicles. We would need to be able to get a pump in there, which we can do relatively safely. And as far as the backing down the streets, it's obviously not optimal, but it is a technique that we use all over town. I mean, we know what the town is like. It's like this throughout all New England. So this is what what the men and women of the Gloucester Fire Department do every day on narrow streets, as was stated, with the Squam Rock Road and so forth. They were cow paths, horse paths, and trails that have been turned into roadways that were taking large fire apparatus, semis, and everything else. So it is absolutely a difficult situation. I absolutely can appreciate the neighborhood's need for the parking, and that if and that obviously clearance at the corners to enter in and turn radius to swing in on both sides of this has to be maintained. That is not up for negotiation, in my opinion. I believe state law steps in there, and you got to have your 20 feet from the corner anyway to give us that turn radius. And we're not the only trucks that are down there. Thank God we're there infrequently. The Amazon guy's there every day. So and the garbage truck's there every day. So if you don't want them beating up your vehicles, obviously we need to set up the roadway for them to successfully pass. And asking routine traffic. So I'm kind of off topic on my end of public safety for access to fight fires, but we run to EMS calls as well. And so in that aspect, having other commercial vehicles violate the law to reverse down a one-way street or to reverse back out of a one-way street. And frequently they're doing this with a solo driver and delivery personnel is unsafe. And those trucks, they worry me more than getting the ladder truck down there, quite honestly. We can back the ladder truck down there and we have the personnel to spot it down there, and it'll give us fairly adequate access to those last 2 houses on the center of the square. It wouldn't be ideal, but it'll work. My concern is the kids playing in the neighborhood and somebody's backing up that street and they don't see one of these kids. And so then we're there for an EMS call and people's worst nightmare. So those things need to be considered. Those routine vehicles that are passing through there are going to cause more of a safety problem for traffic and pedestrians struck and car accidents and those responses than the risk of fire if people are maintaining their homes and doing all the right things, to where a ladder truck in and of itself is going to be the be all end all to that fire. We have a lot of tools in the toolbox. That's just one of them. So again, my opinion was purely based on 100% access of all my apparatus. If the community says that now, parking is a bit of a higher priority. I totally understand that. But I think that consideration and further looking at this needs to be done regarding that routine access, because I don't want to see kids or others in that area, being struck by vehicles because they're forced to back all the way out of there. And maybe they don't have the skill set for that, or they shouldn't be doing it. They don't have a spotter. They're by themselves. So I would ask that we keep that, consider that as we move forward. And if the signage and the ordinance are out of whack, as I've been told they are, that absolutely has to get fixed anyway. So this may not be the language that you want to pass, but I think it needs to get cleaned up and corrected.
All right, thank you, Chief. Councilor Nolan?
I do want to go back to one thing. I'm still curious why the state put a barrier up on a public road in Gloucester. I don't know what Salvatore is talking about, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Sal, do you remember why they put it up?
They put it up because they were afraid that residents from the Armory would slide down the hill and then go straight down to Main Street.
Mr. President?
Yeah, go ahead, Barry. Council
Yeah,
Pat.
it is not correct that the state put that in. I contacted Mass DOT, et cetera. They not only don't have a record of having done that, but they can't understand a circumstance when they would have done that on Gloucester property. My understanding is, and my guess, and as a matter of fact, I had a discussion today with Councilor McCarthy. Our guess is that it was done for the reason that Sal's talking about, but probably that was done through the Housing Authority. And they may have requested some state assistance in financing it, but it was probably done by, the Housing Authority, et cetera. And that's the other point that the chief brought up was that, again, that's what ended up happening is that it's not a question of losing 7 or 8 spaces. The signage that was on the street was wrong in a number of spots. So it's a lot less than changing, losing 7 or 8 spots. I understand, again, what it is, and I appreciate all the comments from, all the residents. And I feel, again, I'm in the same situation, but the safety access down through on that backside and as the chief was saying for other vehicles is the reason for making these changes. And I ask that we, we support it and get it done right. They can request, we can look at moving that barrier. If that barrier was moved back on the other side of the poles, that would possibly add a couple more spaces back, but I'm not sure. It's quite a steep incline there. That's the reason for it being there. And I'm not sure how they would put it on the other side of the pole. But again, maybe that could be a future request to do that, and they might be able to gain a couple of spaces back that way.
All right, Barry, thank you. I see Councilor Cox has her hand up again. I'm going to get through everybody first, Melissa, and then circle back to you. Councilor Gilman.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right timing, but I would just like to throw this on the table that we move to continue this.
Well, why don't we get through all our discussion first?
Okay.
Yeah, because I've got some questions. I got a couple of things I want to go, not questions, but comments first.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how it goes.
Okay.
Anybody else before I circle back? All right, well, I'll say my piece at this point. I've been down there a couple of times. I got stuck behind the trash truck today, so I had a good 20 minutes to observe everything. So I'm a little confused on all the distances. So as you're pulling in Prospect Square from Prospect Street, as you go down the hill, there's on the right-hand side, 20 feet, there's a no parking sign from here to corner. Directly across from that, which the sign is facing the opposite way, it says no parking. And then as I go down all the way around the square, there were 10 no parking signs on each side of the road. So there's quite a bit of no parking already implemented on that street. So taking away more parking, it just doesn't seem, I mean, 10 signs, I don't even think there's 10 full signs for no parking on the entire back shore. And this is Prospect Square, probably, you know, maybe a couple hundred feet of roadway that all these signs are on. You know, and I'm going to just touch on what Council McCarthy said earlier also. I'm not too big of a fan of removing parking from a very tight neighborhood already. What it's going to do is it's going to displace people to other parts of Prospect Street and the adjoining streets, and it's going to make more parking. And people are going to be parking on the sidewalks and parking everywhere else. So I'm just confused of the dimensions and the lengths, like 198 feet from Prospect Street. If I calculate right, I think there's already no parking sign there. So I'm not sure what we're voting on this evening with these recommendations from the traffic. Like I said, I had quite a bit of time behind that trash truck today to soak everything in. I also spoke with the chief earlier, and he doesn't seem to have a problem hooking that corner down there with the truck. So that's my 2 cents on this. Councilor Cox, do you want to circle? We'll circle back to you. You have a question or?
Did the rubbish truck get through today, Steve?
Oh, no problem. Melissa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where to start. So, Councilor Blank, I'm with you as far as like the craziness of this motion and the feet from intersection and feet from that intersection. And the only part of this that I'm okay with is the first line of each one with adding, and that's Prospect Square, the left side in the direction of travel for its entire length. We can all agree that the inside of the U is definitely no parking. But after that, I think the 20 feet from the intersection is the entrance to Sheedy, which can go there naturally without anything coming before us. And then there should be some parking, but this is just so convoluted with what was there, what is there. I'm a visual person, so like visually going down there multiple times, from the signs that are in place, I can't tell what is supposed to be. Like, you know, doing this for 10 years, I know what needs to be, and there is a section that's already marked, but I can't tell from this order which one that is. And we have bypassed public safety numerous times during the 10 years that I've been here.
Right.
And to give you a couple examples, one of them is Kent Circle, which literally encourages people to go on the opposite side of the road to get around traffic and an intersection. And then the same at Prospect Street, which the church and the businesses in that area, the church, the function hall, and the business all begged us to not cut parking from their area in the form of public safety. And
What was that?
we
What was
didn't-
that street behind Jeff's Variety? We did too. What was the name of that street?
Hearts?
No, Williams Court.
Williams
Williams
Court.
Williams
Right.
Court.
We
Yeah.
sided with the residents on that time too. So you're
Yep,
right.
thank
Counselor.
you.
Thank you for bringing that additional one up. I mean, it is, parking is such a necessity in the city. And I'm not a big fan of going against public safety either. But as Sal said, for what if situation, I think this is just so heavy-handed that it's going to hurt every single homeowner down there, every renter, every resident that's in that area.
I just think it's detrimental to the neighborhood to have that parking. And to even, Steve, you're the closest, well, I guess Counselor Pat too, because you live on Middle Street, like I'm in 10 years, I'm not used to having this many people that live in the downtown area on the council. So we all know how tight parking is, but I'm still okay with allowing the parking versus the public safety in this instance because of the fact that it's so necessary. These people have no other option. They would literally, their closest public parking lot is down by City Hall. Burnham's Field, maybe, but then that's not even a public parking lot to use on an everyday basis. And right now it's being utilized by the school. And even that is quite a hike from where they live. Can you imagine walking from Burnham's Field with your groceries just to satisfy a what if? And you know what? I voted for the other ones for compromise to see how things fall out. But you know, I just think this is really heavy-handed and convoluted. So.
All right, Melissa, thank you. And I'm just going to say I agree with Council Cox. The way this was written right now, and we have a motion and on the floor with seconded, so we are in the discussion part. I'm at the point where I probably won't support this as written this evening. I'm going to circle back to Councilor Pat and then Council McCarthy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Again, as this started, when the request came in about changing some parking in the area, that's when we looked at it and we found, and I wish that again, that the Traffic Commission, that Bob Bryan was able to be here this evening, that the signs that were posted, including some of the ones that you still see up there, okay, did not agree with the ordinances. And if you looked at, all of the councilors had the opportunity to look at the presentations that Chief Smith had done with the city engineer and the Traffic Commission, is where these distances came out, and it was very specific. And the idea of these new numbers and so many feet, et cetera, is to correct what may have been, wrong for a number of years, a number of times. Somebody may have somehow, whatever, signs went up, et cetera. And that's where I think, matter of fact, like when Sal was talking 7 or 8 spaces, I think it's, I believe it's less than 3 from what the actual ordinances were. And again, this is, I guess it ends up being a two-headed sword here, because I'm talking about doing it for public safety reasons, but the cleaning up of the ordinances is a second part of it. And if this is to fail tonight, I will still push to get the Traffic Commission to work and go down and correct the signs, that are inappropriate. And I think people are going to be unhappy because, again, it's going to take away, I believe, like 3 spots that are there now based on what the city ordinances are. And you would have been able to see that from the presentations that Chief Smith had put together with the city engineer.
All right, Council McCarthy.
Yes, I'm going to go along with Councilor Cox and Councilor LeBlanc. I can't support this. I want to thank Chief Smith for his very honest dissertation to the council that, in pointing out that this is not unique to the Prospect Square and that his department works around this routinely. So that that was my one concern, that he would come on and say that he couldn't work around this, but he says he has. And I know from my public safety service that there are a lot of streets like this in the city, and we all work around this, but I can't in good faith take parking away from a neighborhood that's lacking parking. I would suggest that we try to, through some means, and I'm sure Barry would work on it, design and come up with a barricade, move that barricade that would actually increase parking. I think it's very important that you were down there today, Steve, and rubbish trucks are a large truck. It's just as large as any fire pumper truck. And if he got through, then, I don't see an issue. So I'm not going to support this tonight. Thank you.
No problem getting through there. Councilor Nolan, did you have your hand up? And then Councilor Cox. Oh, and then Councilor O'Hara. Jamie hasn't spoken yet. Councilor Nolan?
Yeah, basically, the first discussion, what was the original complaint other than traffic? Were they complaining about not enough parking, too much parking, trucks or cars couldn't get through, blockages? Is the road, I know it's marked on the 20 feet from corners. I too don't want to be taking parking away from residents. I understand where we are with Councilor Cox and Councilor McCarthy and yourself. But I'm still curious to what the original complaint was.
The original request came in about a sign that was up that they said didn't make any sense, and would we take a look at that about the parking? It wasn't about the safety issue. It was on, again, the parking issue. And when the traffic commission looked at it, based on the ordinances, he ended up finding that there was a lot of signs on that street that didn't agree with the with what the ordinances said, and it developed into having a meeting which we had with neighbors and the mayor and the fire chief, the police chief, the DPW, traffic commission, etc. And that's how it sort of morphed into two different things: straightening out the appropriate signage, coming up with what would be the best to be able to allow for public safety, and correcting that. And as Councilor McCarthy said, that hopefully it came up a number of times, that barrier at the bottom of the hill, and if it is moved to the backside, there's a in some fashion somehow that would probably add at least 2 spaces back. But it was the morph, it morphed into more than one thing from when first one and then 2 people called about not agreeing with, not understanding why signs were where they were.
Thank you, Barry. Sean, anything else?
I'll let Councilor O'Hara speak. He hasn't spoken yet.
All right, Councilor O'Hara.
Thank you. I must agree with you, Councilor Blank, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Cox, as far as and others who have supported this. Taking away parking has already been discussed. We live in a city almost 400 years old with goat paths that are now highways, and moving the large trash trucks that visit that area. 2 trucks once a week, oil trucks this time of the year are in there daily. And obviously we aren't in winter yet where we have snow banks, and some way, somehow everyone manages to exist down in that neighborhood. And as Chief Smith said, his men and women of his department, they will get there one way or the other. They have in the past, and I'm sure if they have to, they will again. So I think taking away spaces is a disservice to the citizens, and I will not be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Cox.
Just one last thing. Barry, if you were to entertain withdrawing this order, I would certainly be willing to work with you and the traffic commission and the neighborhood over the next 2 months to figure out where the sign should be, because I know the signs and the language don't match up. But I think there's a better way to do this. a- as opposed to voting this, letting this go to a vote and seeing it fail versus withdrawing it and trying to put something forward within the next little bit, because we do have the current language that's there, and we can work with the traffic commission to figure out where the sign should be and really communicate with the neighborhood. I just think that there's been a lot of meetings, but not all of us at one time. The traffic commission wasn't there when I was there. I know that there were no at-large counselors with your initial meeting. There was spotty neighborhood attendance with the other meetings. So I don't see this passing tonight, but I don't want us to fail. So just throwing that out there.
Okay, I'm more than, well, actually, Councilmember Hart has his hand, I'm
Hold
sorry.
on, Barry. Councilmember Hart?
Yes, thank you. Having gone through Williams Court, trying to respond to melding the local residents and abutters needs and the patterns of use they've gotten used to, melding those with our current public safety standards and running up against the discrepancy, as you all have pointed out, between the size of our trucks today and our old roads. And this really seems, again, to me, like a well-intentioned effort to clean up and make consistent our ordinance and our signage on the ground. But I appreciate the enormous amount of time and effort that Barry and others have put into this. And I'm afraid at this point that we should not be fussing unduly with what people are used to at this point. So I think it still needs to be cleaned up in some manner and made consistent between what's posted and what's on the books in terms of regulations governing parking and access here. But we're working with a very, very limited space, and people have gotten used to how to make it work, and we have to respect that.
Thank you, Scott. Council Pat?
Yeah, just, again, I'm more than happy to do whatever is necessary. Again, my biggest concern was public safety. And I know Chief Smith has put a heck of a lot of work into trying to make this work, but I'm more than happy to either withdraw, or if we have a way of even making an amended motion where we wouldn't vote on these changes, but somehow ensure that we, do, force ourselves to relook at the current signage that's there and straighten it out, make it equal to the, to the ordinances. And then we can, again, once the correct signs are up, then we can somehow schedule a meeting with, as Councilor Cox has said, with all parties again, and maybe figure out a way, and maybe we can even ask the DPW in between to see if they could figure out a way that wouldn't be cost prohibitive to move that barrier. And if we come up with a solution that, might add a couple more spaces back in, but I'm more than happy to either withdraw because it doesn't look like it's it will pass as done now, but I'm more than happy to withdraw, or if we could make some sort of amendment that would make sure that we take care of straightening out what appears to be and what is the case.
Thank you, Barry. So without any confusion, I'll give you my opinion. Any amendment is only going to make it more confusing. Whatever we put on the books, whatever we vote on tonight, any amendment is just going to add to the fire that's already there. No pun intended, Chief. But I think that with withdrawing this evening and maybe working with the traffic and then residents to start with a clean slate, removing anything that's not on the books and starting fresh, I think it'll give the residents a chance to speak. It'll give our public safety professionals a chance to speak and come up with a compromise for everything. That way everybody's on the same page, but any amendments on top of what is already there or not there is just going to make it a pile of, worse. That's what I think.
Okay, if there are no other, okay, go ahead, Councilor, I'm sorry.
Councilor
Councilor
Nolan.
Nolan has his,
Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of issues here, and withdrawing would be a good thing. But I think that you should make a request to the Department of Public Works to actually make the signage to meet the ordinances. And that way we have a fair idea of what actually is the law now versus what isn't the law. So we could properly get that taken care of. They'll give us a better idea of what we're looking at for what's real and not real. Because to be honest, reading the motion, right side, left side, far side, south side, go fishermen. Got confusing. So I think we should get it labeled properly and adjust accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, and if you're gonna request that, Barry, we'll wait till the end of when we get to the mayor's requests. All right, so we got Sal. Before we make any more motions or anything, Sal, did you want to say something real quick before we wrap this up?
What we were just talking about just reiterated how, like, you'd go to bed tonight and tomorrow there'd be 2 more signs up and no one knows how they got there or what happened and no one wants to take blame for it. But I mean, this whole thing started with people getting parking tickets and, you know, a little complaint turned into, you know, a volcano basically, because this is just, it's just unnecessary stress on the entire neighborhood. And unfortunately, it's all falling on my shoulders. And I want to thank you guys for the
We'll
time.
try to make it right, bud. We'll try to make it right. So one little complaint turned into an hour public hearing. Right, Councilor Pat, you want to, hold on a second.
Again, a lot more than just an hour's public hearing, a lot of time and effort by a lot of people. And I appreciate all that effort by Chief Smith, by the city engineer, by the traffic commission, et cetera. With that said, I will withdraw the motion and address this further later on.
You want to make it in the form of a motion to withdraw?
Yes, so moved.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Councilor Cox, you have your hand up?
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute. Before we request DPW to put in permanent signs, I think there's an opportunity to lay out some stakes and, you know, some ribbon or something that we can delineate before we ask anybody to do any permanent heavy lifting. I think we need to take this a little bit slower and just, you know, just if we stake it out and then visually see what's going on, I think that's a better move than requesting
Yep, I agree.
DPW. So, and I have to say, Barry, Ward 2 is complicated, and you did put in a lot of work, and others, Chief Smith, put in a lot of work from this. And I appreciate the continuances that were put in place. Last week, one of the residents down there was injured and not able to attend the meeting. So it was asked for the continuance from that. And it was just, it's just, this one's been interesting. I'm gonna use the word interesting. So thank you, Barry.
As interesting as Williams Court, to tell you the truth. That was another one. All right, Councilor Pat, well, we have a motion.
Just one quick, one quick little addition. I know we have the motion on the floor. But when I do request in the future, it will not be to physically be taking signs up and down. It will be able to marking things, and, you know, even we don't have to install signs, et cetera. It will be to be able to clearly observe what the current ordinances state, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, they can always put a bag over the one that doesn't belong there for now, and we'll figure out the rest as we move along. All right, so Councilor Pat made a motion to withdraw, and who seconded it? Was it Councilor Holmgren? Oh, Councilor Gilman. All right, we have a motion, Councilor Pat, seconded by Councilor Gilman. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none. Councilor Pat.
Yes.
Councilor Cox.
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Councilor Holmgren.
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes, good
Counselor-
discussion.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara.
Yes.
Motion to withdraw passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Sal, thank you, and the neighbors that are in attendance this evening. We appreciate your support. Chief Smith, always a pleasure to have you. We got 3 more meetings after this. Hopefully we'll see you at a couple more, buddy.
Yeah, no doubt. And if I may, if you would indulge me, Council President, I just wanted to shout out kind of to Bruce Tarr, Senator Tarr, the motion that you guys passed on the consent agenda for the BNF meeting and accepting that earmark. So, he went out there and got us another $40,000. It's been year after year that he's pounding the ground to help get us funding and pushing funding towards the Department of Fire Services. We've been a benefactor of $50,000 worth of turnout gear, $30,000 worth of gear extractors to keep that gear clean and get the carcinogens out of it. This 40,000, as Bob Rivas explained last week, is going to go for another set of the battery operated hydraulic tools, or JAWS as most people call them, but that's not really all they are. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, and he does a lot for this community, and I just want to make sure that he's getting credit for that. It's a lot for him to kind of stretch his neck on those things, but he does it for the right reasons and for the things that we really need. So it goes a long way.
Thank you, Chief, and it's well deserved. We are blessed to have a homegrown senator. Very
Absolutely.
blessed. All right, so motions, it's the end of that public hearing. It's been withdrawn, so Sal, if you want to let the residents know, if you see them in the next couple of days, that we're gonna start from scratch and try to figure something that's compromised for the neighborhood.
I will. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and you guys have a nice evening.
You too, bud. Madam Clerk, we have the next order of business, please.
Next order of business is public hearing 2021-028, special city council permit 2021-004, Essex Avenue, number 65 to 73, map 217, lots 20 and 22. Gloucester zoning ordinance, section 5.5.2, lowlands requirements, section 3, section 5.31.4, use allowance and special permit procedures in the EB district, continue from October 12th.
All right, so I will open the public hearing, and before we proceed, once again, the proponent will have 15 minutes to speak if they so wish, and then we'll go back and forth 15 minutes, and then we'll have 3 minutes to in favor or in opposition. So with that being said, is there anybody that would like to speak in favor? Harley, can we have your name and address for the record, please?
Harley Reese. I'm
And
sorry.
that is the coolest name, bud, just so you know. I gotta say that.
Harley Racer with Lurie Friedman. We're in Boston, 1 McKinley Square, Boston, Massachusetts. I represent the applicant 6573 Essex Avenue, LLC, and Reverie 73. I did submit a presentation slide deck. I don't know if Madam Clerk wants to run it or if you want to allow me to share my screen to present it. Either way is fine with me.
Whatever you feel more comfortable. If you would like to do it yourself, I think Joanne would, be easier for you, Harley.
Sure, that's fine. And there are a few other, we have several members of our team observing on the line, and there are a few people that I would like to ask the council to recognize just to speak to their particular issues.
Okay, if they want to put their hands up, so if anybody's from the team, all right.
And I'll let you know when we're looking to hear from a particular.
Okay, so I've got Rebecca, Chris, and Caitlin up so far.
Okay.
And Benjamin. Okay.
Very good. And am I able to share my screen yet? Okay, I may need to, where do I do that? Sorry.
If you go to the bottom and it says share screen.
Oh, I see it. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Let's start at the beginning though. And let's do this. So we are here tonight asking the city council for two special permits. One is for a retail marijuana establishment in the extensive business district. And the second is for an exception to the lowland requirements. If we could recognize Jeff Black, the owner and CEO, I believe he is on. And I don't know if his hand is raised.
It is.
Do I have to recognize him now that I'm sorry, I don't know what.
Council LeBlanc, you're muted.
Yep, so Jeff's on, and is he gonna, Harley, is he gonna present or are you gonna present?
I'm going to present. He wanted to address the council. I'll present, and then we're going to have two other presenters with this presentation.
Okay, so it'd probably be better to get through the presentation and then allow him to speak after. Time-wise.
Okay, that's fine if that's how you prefer to do it. I will need to allow. What we'll be doing at this property at 6573 Essex Avenue is raising two old buildings that are there. Currently, there's a gas station and an automobile repair shop, and rebuilding with a single two-story unit. The gasoline station will continue, and convenience store will continue on the first floor, with the retail marijuana on the second floor. These are some before and after. The before on the lower, and then the after is the rendering on the top, just to orient the council. And this is coming from the other direction, the before on the bottom and the after rendering on the top. So just to give the council a brief overview of where we have been to get to this point before you tonight. We entered the host community agreement with the city of Gloucester several years ago. We have the provisional license, which has been approved by the Cannabis Control Commission. A little over a year ago, we appeared before the Gloucester Zoning Board of Appeals and obtained two variances and two special permits to move forward with the project. Next, we went to the Gloucester Planning Board, which endorsed our approval not required to combine these two lots. There are currently two lots. We needed to combine them to meet the minimum square footage requirement under the ordinances for a retail marijuana dispensary. We also got site plan approval from the Gloucester Planning Board. We went then to the Gloucester Conservation Commission, which approved an order of conditions. We needed to go to the Conservation Commission because of the proximity to wetlands. It's entirely in lowlands. And the Gloucester Conservation Commission has approved our notice of intent, and the order of conditions are imminent. We expect them in any time, today or tomorrow even. We also went to the Massachusetts Employment Protection Act office, where we filed an environmental notification form so that all of these relevant state agencies could review the project, comment on it, and set the scope of the permitting that we would need on the state level. And we are here tonight after appearing before the Planning and Development Committee, including a site visit and a couple follow-up meetings with the Planning and Development Committee. I would like to let Chris Tamula from GPI present this portion of the presentation. Is that possible?
We sure can.
Okay.
All right, Chris, can you hear me? All right, I promoted him to a panelist. Chris, can you hear me? There we go. Almost. You're still on mute, Chris.
There we go.
There we go. Name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Chris Tamula, I'm a project manager with Green and Peterson. We're located at 44 Stiles Road in Salem, New Hampshire. So what I'd briefly like to do is just kind of go in a little bit more detail of what Harley was talking about with the existing conditions plan, the site plan, and then briefly talk about the landscaping plan, and then turn it back over to Harley and the rest of our team. So what you're looking at here is an existing survey that we prepared by our office. The total site consists of about 32,000 square feet. As I'm sure you're aware, we're located along the northern side of Essex Ave, adjacent to the marina, which is located to the north and east, and the Anscombe River, and surrounded by commercial uses. As Harley had mentioned, Tom's Auto Garage and associate outbuildings, parking and access driveways are located along the northern side or left-hand side of the screen. The mobile gas station, convenience store, and Dunkin's building are centrally located in the middle of the parcel, along with the existing fueling canopy, which has 4 islands and 8 fueling positions. In total, the parcel has 39 existing parking spaces. It's fully developed with about just under 32,000 square feet of pavement. There are 3 large curb cuts, little to no landscaping, limited stormwater management, and our overall proposal is to raise all of the existing structures on site and redevelop the site with a new retail motor fueling establishment. Harley, if you can go to the next page. Thank you. So as you can see here, the proposed redevelopment includes the new 2-story building, which is located in the upper right-hand corner of the site. And it consists of a C-store, a convenience store, and a Dunkin's on the first floor. And as Harley mentioned, the retail marijuana on the second floor. The new store includes a 4,500 square foot footprint, provides ADA accessible parking and sidewalk connections to Essex Ave. The total new on-site parking includes 27 striped parking spaces, driveway access with 3 smaller reconfigured curb cuts. We have a new fueling canopy located to the left or central portion of the development, which includes again 4 islands, 8 fueling positions, consistent with what is out there today. We have a state-of-the-art underground fuel storage tanks, a fenced dumpster enclosure located in the upper left-hand portion of the site, on-site pedestrian sidewalks, snow storage, site lighting, and a Sally Port delivery area are all included in the redevelopment project. As part of the overall development, we've also reduced the amount of impervious coverage by about 2,700 square feet, allowing for the enhanced on-site landscaping on the next slide. As you can see, our landscaping plan includes native salt-tolerant plantings along the perimeter of the site, and planting materials were revised and chosen based on the revisions in the permitting through the Conservation Commission as well as the MEPA process. The plants chosen include low-growth shrubs, perennials, and grasses, enhance the site character while still providing no limitations on site circulation, sight lines for leaving or exiting vehicles on the property. Overall, we definitely feel that it's a substantial upgrade to the area, and the redeveloped parcel will be a great enhancement to the Route 133 development.
And I've just included this floor plan here for the city council to see how it would look. But I don't need to go into detail that unless you would like that. But turning to the factors that the council is going to be considering for the retail marijuana special permit, under the ordinances, the social, economic, and community needs are met here by, we've already entered into the HCA with the city, and it would be filling the 3rd retail marijuana dispensary that Gloucester has found that it would permit. The traffic flow and safety, we had extensive traffic study and analysis. The Zoning Board of Appeals approved the special permit for the parking that we have. The Planning Board made some adjustments to the plan for pedestrian safety, and we made improvements with design. It's an improved design with respect to the potential flooding and from the current design. It's also the adequacy of the public services. It's fully operational site right now. So it meets those needs. It won't be an additional tax or increase on those. And there's public transit access. As far as the neighborhood character and social structure, it's cited in the extensive business district, which is the only zone in which retail marijuana establishments are permissible in Gloucester. And it's also a continuation of a convenience store and gas station use that is already very popular. And but it's also a net reduction in the building footprint and importantly, a modernization and a rebuild of what's on site and a significant upgrade as Chris mentioned. And as far as the qualities of the natural environment go, we went through the extensive MEPA process review. We went through the Conservation Commission review, and it's the site as it is now is currently fully developed with no green or open space. The new design does add landscaping and does add permeable surfaces, and as I mentioned, reduces the building footprint. So it meets all of the qualities of the natural environment. And finally, the potential fiscal impact refers back to the host community agreement, which will provide a significant net positive for the city of Gloucester and revenue and increased revenue once the site is up and operational. If I could please have you recognize Mr. Ed Davis. He's on, and I think he has his hand raised to briefly explain the security plan, which my understanding is that the Gloucester Police Department approved the security plan either today or yesterday, but I'll let Ed fill the council in on that. Does anyone see Ed there? I can't see on my screen if he's. Mr. President, you're muted if you're.
There we go.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, there we go, Ed. So yeah, he's
Okay,
on it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Mr. President and members of the council. My name is Ed Davis. My office is at 2 Atlantic Avenue in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm mislabeled on the Zoom call as my daughter got her hands on this computer. My apologies for that. I'll be brief. I know time is limited here, but we are the security company for Reverie 73. We work with them on a number of projects. In this particular security process, standard security operation plan, we've put together a 6-point plan that I'll just cover really briefly. There's been advanced assessment and planning, a risk management and compliance team has been assembled. One of my project manager has had conversations with Chief Conley and issued or submitted our SSOP to him. We have worked on daily operations, including line and queue management, which is something really important to us, inventory and cash management. Our security operations procedures, you can see there, amount to all of the things that you would think about as far as securing a facility like this. We are driven in this SSOP through the CCC and 935 CMR 500.110. That requires that we cover interior lighting, sally ports, which is the area where the deliveries will be made, money management precautions, as well as making sure that all vaults and safes are Underwriter Laboratories listed at anti-fire and burglary. You can go to the next one, Harley. We'll have on-site security personnel, a full-time security manager dedicated to Reverie 73 to ensure compliance and ongoing risk management. Certainly access control, card keys and the like, which are overseen by a very sophisticated video system. And then the integrated security system, starting with video, will be Underwriter Laboratories listed, including all of the things that you see here, including fire alarms, mass notifications, and visitor management, as well as alarm monitoring. So happy to answer any questions that you have about these topics. I hope it was comprehensive.
All right, Ed, thank you. We're going to wait for council questions a little bit later.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so just so you guys know, you're about 14:40 in time. We're going to
Great.
allow you all the time you need, but we'll just have to get it on the back end for the other people, anybody in opposition. So
No,
just so-
yeah, I understood. Last slide. Just to briefly address the exception to lowland requirements, this is a modernization and a rebuild of the entire site using modern technology and flood rating proof. We got we had specialist expertise of Weston and Sampson designed to mitigate and anticipate the changing climate through 2070 and build to meet those anticipated needs. And with that, we'll conclude and turn it back to you. I'll stop sharing my screen.
All
And
right.
thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, Harley. All right, hold on, Barry, 1 second. We'll get to all of us in a minute. Is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition? If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9, and if you are watching on a device, computer, laptop, or whatever you watch it on, there is a raise hand button you can push or tap. We do have Rebecca Brown. Is she part of your team, you said?
It's GPI. So I don't think that she is a.
Yes, Rebecca is part of our team.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Anybody that would like to speak in opposition, please raise your hand. All right. Seeing none. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
We received one communication from Mary Conley of 33 Bond Street in opposition of this special city council permit.
All right. And my lights just flickered. Councilor Pett?
Yes, I'm sorry, I had to jump off for a second to do some medication things, but I have to do a chapter 268A declaration. I had a previous 25 to 30 year business relationship with the applicant's company, but I am not involved and have no financial interest, and I can participate in this process. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Barry. And I'm just logging in on my phone also, just in case I lose power for this. I'll be able to continue. Trying to double down here. Any councilor questions? Councilor McCarthy.
Yes, probably to Harley. Harley, the gas station, is everything going to be new in tanks, that type of thing, everything underground? And that would be part of your modern technology with dealing with the climate for the next 50 years or so?
Yeah, that's correct. It's going to be all brand new, and it's all built with the same forward-looking design. The new tanks will be weighted down. There's safety mechanisms, automatic shutoffs, and extensive protections for it. It's going to be entirely new.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Councilor Cox.
I just wanted to make the announcement that I am going to recuse myself from this vote because 90% of this happened while I was away on vacation, and somehow I clearly missed that this was on the agenda tonight, and I was not able to watch the prior videos of P&D. So I'm going to recuse myself from the vote.
Thank you, Melissa. Any other councilor questions? Councilor Memhard.
Thank you. Great presentation, nice and clear. Interesting development for that area. I would have some fundamental objections based on the environmental sensitivity of the area that you're building in. But I think those are clearly addressed by the improvements you're making to the existing construction and activities that are already there. If we were starting from scratch, this would not be an area that I'd recommend putting any kind of facility into, but right now it's been developed, the marsh has been filled. So I think that your project represents a net improvement. My one question would be accessibility in terms of sidewalks on Essex Ave, Route 133.
And I agree with everything that you said, and we had similar conversation, a lot of conversations with MIPA and Coastal Zone Management and DCR on the same area. As with regard to the sidewalks, I'd like to turn it to Chris if he could answer that question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Harley. Yes, from a sidewalk point of view, we have both an ADA accessible route along Essex Ave. We're providing ADA ramps access point from the existing sidewalk system that are being upgraded to brand new sidewalks along the entire frontage of our site. And then during the planning board process, there were some discussions of adding some additional sidewalk connections for the parking that's on the left-hand side of the property, which we've added to the plans as well. So there's adequate pedestrian accessibility as well as ADA access throughout the entire site.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other councilor questions? Council McCarthy.
Yeah, Harley or Ed, the deliveries that you're going to be having coming for with product or money, is that going to be scheduled around times that the convenience store is open? Or is it going to be done when they're open and doing business and just rely on the Sally Port or your area to be, and once they're in that area, is that area closed down, the Sally Port area?
Our preference is to do it off hours, and that's Sally Port will be completely secured. Only security personnel and the delivery people will be in that area, which is really the reason why it's set up like it is. So, yeah, the deliveries will not be. We will avoid normal operating times as much as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? All right, so I'll, oh, we have Val. I don't see Val on here though. Council Gilman. Did we lose her?
If so, I have the report prepared.
All right, hold on, we're still doing the public hearing part of this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna speak a little bit. So this is Ward 3. We had a development that was gonna be next door last year. The neighbors reached out to me. A lot of people reached out to me being in the ward, and they were completely opposed against this project that was next door to this project that you're putting forward tonight. We did, so how long ago, Ed, how long ago was that community outreach? About 2 years ago? That we had at the Harbor Room?
Yes, it was a year and a half or 2 years ago, correct,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, it's been a while. We had a good turnout for that. A lot of the questions were answered, a lot of the security questions, a lot of the security was put forward by Ed and his team that day. We've gone through this with Happy Valley, so this isn't the first go around with us. And I haven't had anybody reach out in the neighborhood, in the ward, especially the neighborhood, to discuss any of this evening. So I'm going to agree with Councilor Memhard. This is definitely an upgrade to the existing property and the existing building. And that's all I got to say. So anybody else?
Steve, I think Val's over in the attendee side.
Yeah, I tried to bring her in. Hold on one sec. I allowed her to talk a minute ago. See if I'll promote her. Promote panelist. All right, still can't get her in as a panelist. Oh, there we are. All right, Val, you with us?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you.
So, and we're going to proceed with
So-
Councilor Gilman because she was on the call as an attendee, so she didn't really miss anything. So hold on, Val, before we move forward. Is there anything else from any council questions? All right, seeing none, I'm gonna.
I have questions.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So one of the questions I have for Harley, I'm in the dark here, but at least I have 24% on my iPhone. Harley, I'd love for you to answer a question for me in terms of on the MEMA document and the Conservation Commission findings. Can you just describe for us what the outcome is of the Mass DOT and the long-term concerns that they have and how your organization is comfortable with going forward? If you could just describe that to the council and chime in, that would be terrific. Thank you.
And I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. You're talking about the Mass DOT application for the curb cut for the access, or is this something different? I might need to bring Megan Kearns in for this. She may be able to address this. Is this from, we've not seen the Conservation Commission's order of conditions yet.
Okay.
But Megan Kearns is on. She has her hand up now. If we could turn to her. She's our wetland scientist, wetland engineer. She can.
Okay, through the chair, that would be great. Thank you.
Not a problem. Rebecca, can you hear me? You're on mute.
Megan Kearns,
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry, Rebecca has her hand up too. Megan, let's see, I don't see Megan on the call.
I can see her.
I got her.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Let's see, did she come up? Megan? There we go. Megan, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, can
There
you
we go.
hear me?
We can. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Megan Kearns. I am a scientist at Epsilon Associates at 3 Mill and Main Place in Maynard, Massachusetts. And I guess we did have a section on traffic for our MIPA ENF. That I don't know, Chris Tamula, you might be able to better answer questions on Mass DOT and those traffic analyses that your company did.
Jordan, and Mr. Chairman, let me just jump in real quickly. There was a little bit of confusion. Heather Montecup from our firm was the one who was really involved in the traffic portion, and Rebecca Brown is here on behalf of Heather because Heather had another meeting to go to. So if you could recognize Rebecca from my office, she can discuss any of the MassDOT application process.
Yes, I believe I've already been upgraded. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Rebecca. If you're gonna speak, name and address for the record also, please.
Sure. My name is Rebecca Brown with Greenman Peterson at 181 Ballardvale Street in Wilmington, Massachusetts.
Go ahead.
All right. So as part of the MIPA review process, as Megan already mentioned, we did submit a copy of our traffic impact and access study, which was reviewed by Mass DOT. And they had no significant comments during the MIPA review process. We have also submitted to them the curb cut permit application, which is currently pending, and we do anticipate having comments back by that in mid-November. But based on the review from the MIPA process, without having any real significant comments there, we wouldn't anticipate any type of traffic related issues from Mass DOT.
Thank you. That was my question.
All right, anything else, Val?
No,
Okay.
and I do have my narrative when it gets to that point.
All
So,
right.
thank you.
All right, any more councilor questions before we close the meeting? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and Councilor Gilman, can we have the committee report, please?
This is very interesting because I have a flashlight, but I'm going to read it. On a
I
motion
appreciate your
by
diligence.
Council Gilman, seconded by Council Holgram, the Planning and Development Committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the City Council grant to 65-73 Essex Ave LLC and Fresh Fields Gloucester LLC a special council permit 2021-004 for the property located at 6573 Essex Ave, Assessors Map 217, lots 20 and 22 in the EB District pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance, section 5.5.2, lowland requirements, in section 5.31.4, use allowance and special permit procedures to construct a 2-story modern building which will continue the gas station and convenience store on the ground level with a marijuana retail dispensary in the 2nd floor. This permit is made on the basis of plans and elevations dated May 14th, 2021, and submitted to the city clerk on August 11th, 2021, entitled Proposed Site Redevelopment Plans for Assessors, map 217, lots 20 and 22,
65-73 Essex Avenue, Gloucester, Mass. 01930. This permit meets the conditions set forth in the orders of conditions for DEP number 028-2786 for 65-73 Essex Avenue, which are on file, and I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Counselor Gilman, seconded by Counselor, was that Pat? All right, and Harley, do you want to bring Jeff in to speak a little bit before we have a councilor discussion, or is that? up to you?
I think we're okay. We were gonna have him introduce it at the beginning, but
Well-
Okay, hold on, Val, we got you. All right, I just
Hold
want,
on, hold on a sec. I'm sorry. I'm juggling, almost running out of battery. Can you get on the city website and get the Zoom number for this on your phone, which has more
all right, I muted her. All right, I just wanted to make sure we recognize Jeff before we proceed. All right, Val, do we have a narrative from you? Hold on, I put you on mute while you were talking to Paul. So you have to unmute yourself. You can hear me, Val. All right, why don't we give her a second? Val, can you hear me? All right, Jen, do you have the narrative?
Yes,
Why don't we proceed with,
it's a
I'm sure-
beautiful narrative. All credit
Yeah,
to Val. It's
I'm sure
excellent.
Val is on the call. She's just scrambling for her charger.
Yep. Okay, counselors, we have before us a special council permit 2021-004 for Essex Avenue, number 65 through 73, map 217, lots 20 and 22, GZO sections 5.5.2 for a lowlands requirements exception, and 5.31.4 use allowance and special permit procedures for a marijuana establishment in the extensive business district. Variances and special permits were approved at the ZBA, including parking. The planning board approved the site plan, which included adjustments for pedestrian safety and modification of their proposed plan for safety and flooding. Following these approvals, there were 3 P&D meetings to review this proposal. The first meeting was an informational meeting, and it was held on September 19th, 2021. We confirmed that the applicant satisfied the criteria to pay the $350 application fee, and the application was submitted for review and completeness by the planning director on 8/2, August 2nd, our building inspector on August 10th, and the city clerk on August 11th, 2021. Harley Racer of Lurie Friedman led the presentation and gave us an overview of the permitting and approvals to date, shared the current and proposed site plans, traffic impact and study, and the security plan. The applicant explained the merits of their proposal and the special council permits. Oops, sorry, my internet now. In front of us, including 1.8.3 standards to be applied. On 9/28/21, we had 2 site visits at the Essex Ave site. P&D counselors were in attendance and 3 abutters, representatives of the Cape Ann Marina. Together, we compiled an extensive list of questions that were answered at our Wednesday, October 6th meeting. On October 20th, 2021, we reviewed a letter submitted by our Concom agent, Adrian Lennon, and added an amendment to our motion that this permit meets the conditions set forth in the order of conditions for DEP number 208-2786 for 65 through 73 Essex Avenue, which are on file. Our 10-20, 3 in favor, 0 opposed P&D vote clearly reflected an initial unanimous vote of support of both special council permit zoning matters in front of us, as well as standards to be applied 1.8.3, including social, economic, and community needs, adds an additional recreational retail marijuana establishment to our city, traffic flow and safety, thorough and well-vetted traffic study and analysis, and ZBA approval of parking, which includes a total of 27 on-site parking spaces, including ADA accessible striping and parking spaces in the front of the establishment, adequacy of utilities and public service.
All right.
Can I continue?
Yes, we can, Val. Go ahead.
Okay,
Crazy,
thank
crazy
you, Jen.
meeting.
I'm back. I've got 20% on my phone.
All right, go ahead.
Adequacy of utilities and public service, fully operational
developed site.
currently and will continue. Public transit access is nearby. Neighborhood character and social structure established in the EB district which is the only permissible location for a marijuana establishment. Qualities of natural environment. Currently fully developed site with no green or open space. Proposed design will add landscaping and permeable surfaces, reduce building footprint, and extensive review through the MIPA process. Potential fiscal impact. Significant net positive for our city for increased revenue and benefits resulting from the host community agreement. In terms of exception to low light requirements as a rebuild of an entirely developed and currently used site, this will be an improvement of site conditions and public safety. The new design incorporates modern technology that is designed to keep flooding in place to keep the structure safe during flooding, and a safety plan approved by the Gloucester Fire Department, as well as an anchor and flood safety walls for the underground gas tanks. In terms of the marijuana establishment use allowance and special permit procedures, this permit has been thoroughly vetted by the Planning Board and the ZBA, as well as the Conservation Commission. It's not located within 500 feet of a pre-existing public or private school providing education in kindergarten or any of grades 1 through 12. It meets the requirements of the marijuana establishment use allowance and special permit procedures. Thank you, Council Holgram, for tag teaming me on this. This will be one night that we'll never
Thank you.
forget. But
Never.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
I know.
I'll
Great.
turn the meeting back to our Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Val, and thank you, Jen. We lost you for a little bit, Jen. Val picked up right where you left off, so we didn't miss a beat. Crazy meeting tonight. So I saw you looking at us going, oh, what's going on? Val's talking. I don't know how far you kept talking, but you froze just to give you. But we-
Oh man,
we-
I'll tell
but we
you.
didn't miss a beat
Thank you.
between all of us, so good job, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, and we have a narrative. Any councilor discussion? Councilor, all right, I saw Councilor Pep and Councilor Holmgren first.
Yeah, I would just like to comment that, again, having had this 25 to 30 year business relationship with the applicant's family and business, and having seen some projects that they've done all over not only Massachusetts, but other states as well. I'm confident that this will be well received by the community, will be done in a top-notch professional manner, and I will be supporting it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Councilor Holmgren?
Likewise, I agree with Councilor Pett, although I have not had a business relationship with a client in the past. Oh, am I frozen? No.
No,
Okay.
Good.
I want to thank the applicant for the absolute thoroughness that they have brought to the table. It instills a lot of confidence in me, and I will be supporting this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Councilor McCarthy?
Yes, I will be supporting it. Under 1.8.3, I think it meets the standards, social, economic, and community needs to the community, the adequate utilities, the traffic studies that have been done, the lowlands exception. It's already a developed piece of property, will be improvements to the existing, using modern technology, dealing with climate changes. And I think it's great that they're keeping the only gas station we have that side of the bridge open. I think that's an important factor here. So I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Councilor Memhard?
Yes, likewise, I will be supporting this motion tonight for all the reasons that were set forth by the Planning and Development Committee's proposed motion for us. So thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Scott. Councilor Nolan?
First of all, I'm happy to say that it's the second oldest mobile station in the country supposedly, and I'm glad to see it stay on the side of the bridge. It makes sense for us. And in my short term of life, this will be the third transformation of that property. And I think it's always been a fitted needs to the public. I do believe it meets all the criteria of 183. And I don't have any problems with this at all. Neither have I gotten any feedback from the residents in my ward. Great job. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Counselor O'Hara?
Thank you. I agree with what has already been said. I think it meets the guidelines. It will be an improvement to the area, to the city. And as has already been mentioned, I have not gotten any calls, if you will, complaints of the project. So I will be supporting this tonight, and I wish the applicant well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Anybody else? All right, same with myself. I'm going to be supporting this evening. Great job, very thorough. Goes back to the 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, with the community outreach and the presentation that was done back there, which was very, very thorough, and I was impressed 2 years ago. So I can only imagine, you know, the leaps and bounds the past 2 years have come to get this to where it's at today. Also being the ward counselor, and Sean being the ward counselor across the street. If you guys need any help with anything, just reach out to either one of us. We'll make sure that the transition is smooth. With the residents, it's good to maybe get a liaison that's on the project to help represent the neighborhood. That'll be a go-to person when the project does start. We'll have a go-to person rather than having you know, a million different emails and me trying to email a project manager or a site guy or this. Maybe we appoint one person from your project that'll be the go-to person for the neighborhood. Any questions or like that. So moving forward, that's my advice. And under all the reasons from Planning and Development Committee and everything else, I will 100% support this evening. Councilor Nolan?
I did forget one thing, as it's been an existing business here, and the Black family already knows, but you can see from this meeting tonight, it does get windy and the weather does change, so I would recommend a nice generator.
I'm sure there'll be one. You don't want to sell gas by flashlight? All right. With that being said, if there's no other councilor discussion, I will call for the roll call. Councilor Pat.
Absolutely, 100% yes.
Councilor
Thank you
Cox
for-
is
thank you
recused.
for everything.
Councilor Cox is recusing herself. Councilor Gilman.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I totally support this and I appreciated the professionalism of the applicant through the whole process. Thank you.
Councilor Holmgren.
Yes, 100%.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor Memhard.
Yes.
Councilor Nolan.
Absolutely. I want to thank Val, Jen, and Barry on the planning committee, and also all our committees and commissions for doing a great job. Harley and company, this is a perfect example of how things should work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 recused. All right, congratulations, guys. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do for the community and for the neighborhood.
Thank you
And
very much, Mr. President. Thank
Once
you,
again,
Councilors.
if there's anything you need, just definitely reach out to us and we'll help you with the process also.
Thank you very much.
Especially the neighborhood.
It's been a
All right.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very
guys.
much. Good night.
Have a good night. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Next order of business is for council vote. Requests from the Budget and Finance Committee to request the Board of Health to come before BNF pursuant to City Charter Section 2-6, Council Access to Information.
All right, is there somebody from Budget and Finance that would like to read the motion? Councilor Cox.
I'd be happy to.
All right.
Let's see. Pursuant to City Charter Section 2-6, Council access to information to require the interim Board of Health Director and the Chair of Board of Health to attend a Budget and Finance remote meeting on November 1st, 2021. And I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Counselor Cox, seconded by Counselor Memhard. Any discussion?
So we made an informal request to have the interim director before Budget and Finance to discuss a grant that was returned to the state. And he invoked the charter. So we are doing our due diligence and making the request officially.
Thank you, Melissa. Any other councilor discussion? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll. Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Holmgren,
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote with 9 in favor, 0 opposed.
I'd like to move to reconsider, please.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to reconsider. Everybody's aware of the reconsider. Counselor Pat,
No.
Counselor Cox,
No.
Counselor Gilman,
No.
Counselor Holmgren,
No.
Counselor LeBlanc, no. Counselor McCarthy,
No.
Counselor Memhard,
No.
Counselor Nolan,
No.
Counselor O'Hara.
No.
Motion to reconsider fails on a roll call vote of 0 in favor, 9 opposed. All right, thank you, everyone.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Yes,
Because we did make the request for November 1st, I know there's also an ONA meeting that evening. I request the city to post the meeting at 5:30 in hopes that we would be able to join your meeting, should any member have a conflict with anything on your agenda.
but we start ONA at 5:30.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
never
sorry,
mind.
6 o'clock. No, I'm sorry, 6 o'clock. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You
I'm
guys start.
hoping, yeah, I'm hoping to wrap it up within a half an hour. I mean, it's just, we've got some questions about the hows and whens and
Okay.
whys.
Yeah, we can do that.
so-
Joanne, is that all right?
Yes.
Posting at 5:30? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I got confused for a second. I'm like, 5:30?
I was like, wait, I didn't think yours was at 5:30.
I know.
Okay.
I like having ours
Well,
at 6.
I say yours, I mean Counselor Nolan's ONA meeting. But yes, you're part of that group, so that's what I would.
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
trying to refer to the chair.
Yep, not a problem. All right,
Thank
Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Councilor's request to the mayor.
All right, so I'm gonna start with Counselor Pat, seeing that he had the heavy load tonight.
I have two requests to the mayor and through the mayor to the administration. Number one, I would like again to ask that we set up a meeting to discuss traffic issues and parking issues, not only in Ward 2, but in adjacent areas in Ward 1 and 3, and some other areas of the town, of the city. That's one request. And then the second one is in reference to our Prospect Square issue that in changing some of the parking requirements. I'd like to ask the administration to set up a meeting that would involve not only the city council, but the DPW, the traffic commission, the fire chief, and the police chief to look at the current ordinances and maybe make some markings and identify which signs are correct, which are not change anything or whatever. We can maybe we can bag signs or, put some marks where some are supposed to be or whatever, but not do anything, and then have further discussion with the neighbors and the full council to see if we can come up with some some new regular ordinances that also cover the public safety aspect that Chief Smith worked so hard on trying to put together.
All right, thank you, Barry. Counselor Cox.
I have nothing. Thank you.
All right, Counselor Holmgren. Oh, yeah, Counselor Holmgren, I'm sorry.
Don't forget to vote Tuesday. Thanks, everybody.
There you go. Counselor McCarthy.
I think I'm gonna skip this week. I'm tired of asking questions and not getting answers, so I'll take the week off.
Amen to that.
Counselor Memhard.
Not to follow up directly on Councilor McCarthy's comment, but I would like to request from the administration an update on my prior request for and timing as to the repaving or reconstruction or repair of the East Gloucester Square sidewalks, which are in highly hazardous and unsafe condition.
Thank you, Scott. Counselor Nolan.
I just want to wish anybody that has to work tonight or be outside to be safe and watch for fallen limbs. I hope everything is good. And in the morning you wake up, you see any gutters or any drains that may be flooded in front of your house or some debris. Please lend a hand. Other than that, everybody have a great night and thank you all.
Thank you, Sean. Counselor O'Hara.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the mayor if she could respond to my numerous emails regarding St. Anne's veterans in compliance with Massachusetts State Building Code. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie. Counselor Gilman.
Thank you. I've got three. I'll be quick. The first is I'd like to request through the mayor that our city clerk and IT director work on a website enhancement that would advertise all of our public hearings. Joanne and I had talked about this about 2.5 years ago when James Pope was here. And it was just, it's an idea that we don't have a lot of people subscribing to the newspaper anymore. And that's our primary way of communicating to people upcoming public hearings, unless you're an abutter. And I just think that it would be really a great enhancement just to have like a ticker tape thing on the top of our website that kind of advertises when the public hearings are. Second, I have a fourth request for that the traffic commission through the mayor looks at the signage at 10 Andrews Street, the scene of 2 sliding accidents last January. With the winter coming up, it's definitely a big concern. And the traffic commission is excited to handle things like that, to look at. And the definition from our council in terms of how we need to ask them to do things for us is through the mayor. So I'm just repeating that request. It's important. And then finally, I'd like to just once again repeat our request that we look at the feasibility of hybrid technology. It's January 1st is when some of the departments are going to stop having Zoom meetings, some of the critical ones. We just have an opportunity to do both, and I would really like to have an update. So those are my 3, and thank you for the resilience tonight to all of you, for all of us kind of working together to get through this power shortage. So thank you.
Thank you, Val. Yeah, it was kind of a crazy meeting. I was out, you were out, Jen froze, Melissa was out. We joined. I've got 2 of me because if my power goes out, I've got my phone logged in so I can continue the meeting. So maybe that's food for thought for the next stormy day, that we can have our devices next to us logged in and push through these things. Well, not push through, but make sure that we're all on and we don't have to continue it, because I know we've got very limited time left before the next, we got meetings next week and then the election and everything else. Speaking of the election, it just seems like every year we have this storm right before election day, and you got to go around and pick up the signs and put them back to where they go, which is crazy. And It was a great meeting, everyone. The Prospect Square was a great debate and go back and forth. And, you know, this is what we try to do. We always try to put our residents first. And with that being said, I don't have any requests to the mayor, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
All right, and call for the roll. Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox has left. Probably lost power again. Counselor Gilman,
yes.
Counselor Holmgren,
Yes, stay safe, everyone.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Weather's great over here in East Gloucester. Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
ride the storm through the night and tomorrow. Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes, and everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Counselor O'Hara.
Yes.
All right, before we adjourn, I'm going to repeat, Counselor Holmgren, don't forget to vote on Tuesday. All right, everyone have a good night. We are
Good night,
adjourned.
everybody. 5,000 without power here on my side.